You're listening to the Make Life Epic podcast with Jim Simcoe. Thanks for being here today. Let's get rolling with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Make Life Epic podcast. We have a very special guest today. I'm very, very excited to have my friend Heather Lindemenn here with us on the show today. So, Heather, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super, super excited to be a part of your epic podcast.
Right on, right on. Now, we have kind of a funny story because you and I met a very long time ago, or what seems like a really long time ago. Do you want to tell everybody how we met?
All right. I actually was just telling the story about you and I the other day to a girlfriend. So I had just opened, I think it was the first day I was open, of a brand new boutique that I had opened in downtown Encinitas. And Mr. Jim Simcoe was my first customer.
Was that really your first customer?
I think you were one of my first customers.
Wow, that's cool. That's so cool. Right on.
Yeah. So you sauntered in the door. You had we're doing the real estate company next door.
Yep.
And you walked in and introduced yourself and told me all about Kelly and all about your family.
Yep. I remember that. So what Heather is not telling you is she's one of the coolest women you'll ever meet in your life. So if you ever get a chance to meet Heather, she's just fantastic. And you could tell us too by the name of your store. The name of your store was Dreamy. And
yes.
I remember walking by it one day to get a coffee and seeing like that sign and be like, you know what, like who's got the balls to put that on the store? Like how fantastic is it? and I think for several years, I went there almost, every holiday, every birthday to get presents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to see you in the morning when you were cruising by to get a coffee.
Yep. And now, what's weird is like, now that you're gone, it's a weird, like vape. How do you say it? Vape? Like the kids do, like they smoke, but it's not really smoking.
Yeah. Vapor store. It's a vapor store. Yeah. I know. Isn't that weird?
It's honestly one of the weirdest things in the history of things. It's like the weirdest, strangest thing. So anyway, all right. So let's get right into it because I want to talk about you. I don't want to talk about me. I'm bored talking about myself. Tell me a little bit about your background. So where'd you grow up? Who's your favorite high school teacher? Why? Just open up your chest and let your heart fall out. Tell us all.
All right. Well, before I get started, Jim.
Yes.
Because I can't see you.
Right.
I need to know what you're wearing.
This is so great.
Is there a tank top involved?
No, surprisingly, there's not.
What the hell?
I know. But you'll be happy to know I'm wearing a tight, this is really kind of funny, actually. I'm wearing jeans, obviously, and I'm wearing my CrossFit shirt, my CrossFit Society shirt, which I wear like literally almost every day. So I wear like 3 of them. So
okay, good. There's 3 because they need to be clean, Jim.
They do need to be clean. So I do clean them on a regular basis. I love them.
Okay, well, I feel better now that I know.
Now you tell me what you're wearing. Now this would be weird if it was anybody but you and I. But so what are you wearing?
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have some athletic wear on right now. It looks like I could go do yoga at any second.
Right.
But I did not do yoga today. But I think every woman that's listening to this right now can relate to this outfit. It looks like I do yoga outfit, but maybe I haven't done it in 5 or 6 years. I don't know, but I have the outfit on. So perfect. That's it. Hair pulled back, glasses on, like ready to roll.
That's, there's the quintessential Heather look. That's fantastic. You are one person who can pull that off. I can never pull that off. First of all, because if I have long hair, I look like an Asian game show host, and that's not a good look, believe it or not.
And we don't want to see you in yoga pants, Jim.
Nobody wants to see me.
Draw the line.
Nobody wants to see that. That would just be bad for everybody in the world. So, anyway, all right. So tell me. So give us your background. Where'd you grow up? Because I actually don't even know this.
Well, I grew up in Cardiff by the Sea, California.
You did? Did you actually grow up here?
Yeah, we grew up on Macadamia Nut Corner. So where Summit and Rubenstein meet in Cardiff.
Oh, wow. Cool.
My parents bought a little house. And they, with a 180-degree ocean view that they paid $19,000 for, and sold it for $27,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Back in the day. So that's where I grew up mostly. And then in my, we were like 10, 11, 12, that zone. My mom was an equestrian. She had ridden horses her whole life, and my dad was a surfer. And so they'd made some sort of a deal that they could live at the beach for a little while, but then eventually they needed to go get a space where mom could have some horses. So then we moved out to La Costa, San Marcos, like that zone off of the end of Olga.
Yeah, okay.
And So my mom had a few horses and we had like just not a lot of land, but just enough for a corral. So we spent my teenage years out there.
Right on. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it always was interesting whenever things would happen in my life. I always ended up in Encinitas, Cardiff area. Always.
It just worked out that way.
Yeah, it was just like a little homing pigeon. So it was first time I moved out. I was in Cardiff. When I went through my divorce with my ex-husband, I was in Cardiff. Cardiff just kind of constantly drew me back.
Yeah, Cardiff is awesome. That's where we live. I mean, I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
So, all right. So tell me about high school. What was high school like for you? Because I got to imagine like high school for you must have been awesome.
I hated high school.
Really?
No, I hated high school.
Why?
Well, I'm dyslexic. I'm severely dyslexic and I didn't know it. And so I was a rotten student.
Oh,
and, but this thing birthed in me that I became pretty aware of around my high school days was that I really didn't give a shit how it should go. And so, school was tough for me. I didn't make good grades. And, I can't remember how I figured this out, but I actually started going to Palomar College while I was still in high school.
really?
And yeah, they never asked if I had a high school diploma and I was still taking classes at high school, but I hated the scene. The social pressure was really tough for me. Whatever. So I started going to Palomar and I got great grades and I ended up getting my GED for high school and while I was going to junior college. Because I just skipped that step. I was like, high school sucks. This is bad. I'm not into it. I'm going to skip it. And I've kind of done that a lot of times in my life. Like,
so great.
Not necessarily going to play by the rules.
I hope everyone listening gets that concept. That's so fucking fantastic. And first of all, here's the thing. I'm so glad you swore first. Because if I swear first, I love it when someone else swears first. So thank you very much.
Okay, good. Well, I have a t-shirt. I think I actually sent you an image of it that said, I have the vocabulary of a well-educated sailor. It actually says it on my website. So it's like, you have been warned, people.
Yes. All right. That's so awesome. I never knew that about high school. All right. Fantastic. All right. So tell me about the journey from Dreamy to what you're doing now. And tell everybody what you're doing now and give us your website too.
All right. So my website is heatherlindemenn.com.
Spell it
and
out.
LIN as in Nancy, D as in David, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy.
Nice.
Woohoo!
And I'll put that on the show notes too.
All right. heatherlindemenn.com. So what I do now is I work primarily with women. I would say 99% with women. Every now and then one of you dudes squeaks in as a husband or a sibling of one of my clients. But I help women come home to themselves. And
wow,
I'm sure
awesome.
As we move on, we'll get to explain that a little bit more. But so many women, I would say almost every single woman that comes to work with me says that something's missing. They feel like something's missing in their lives. And what our knee-jerk reaction to do is to look outside of ourselves to fulfill that, whatever something's missing. Is it the right relationship or the right amount of money or the right body or, the right belongings, monetary things. And what ends up happening is that it's parts of themselves that they haven't called home or parts of themselves that they're unwilling to see.
Gotcha.
And there's an amazing fucking crazy amount of magic that happens when a woman allows herself, and it's more of a happening than anything, to all parts of herself to come home, because we're constantly trying to be something that we're really not.
Right.
And anyways, that's like the most spectacular part of my job is when that happens, because then they have everything they need and they don't have to go outside of themselves, including their high Wi-Fi connection to their innate wisdom, which is a game changer for everyone. So that's what I do now. And I do it in the form of one-on-one sessions, and I teach a live class out here at my retreat center in Vista once a month called Transformation Tuesday. And I teach.
Right. I think Kelly went to one of those and she loved it.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's been to a bunch of Transformation Tuesdays, but she came out
recently, right? Wasn't it like a couple months ago or something?
Yeah, but she came out for
my wife's going to kill me. Like, she's going to be like, of course you remember this because it was on the 17th of August at this time. How do you not remember this? How come you're not listening to me? I'm sure. So hopefully she's not listening to this part. I'm just kidding.
I love you, Kelly. I love you so much.
She's the best. She's the best.
She really is the best. You're a lucky, lucky dude. And
I am.
she's so lucky too. But yeah, so, I'm out here doing lots of stuff with the goal of helping women to wake up. So awesome. I'm sure we'll get into that. But how the Dreamy thing connected to this was...
Yeah, how'd you go from Dreamy? Because Dreamy was a shop with really cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
So how do you go from owning a retail shop to like transforming people's lives?
Right. Well, Dreamy was a shop with really cool stuff in it, but the intent for Dreamy was to create a space where women could come together in community and individually and enter a space that they could relax into, right? Mm-hmm. And women love to take care of themselves and other women. And actually we're more apt to take care of somebody else than we are first before ourselves.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So I wanted to create a space where women could come in and gift their friends, hang out with their friends with really special, unique and different treats and gifts. And so the premise of Dreamy wasn't just a gift shop. It was for women first and to help women feel yummy and happy and connected. And so that was the foundation. And
did you know that going in? Sorry to interrupt. Did you know that going in? That was the plan. It wasn't like I'm going to sell stuff and be profitable and be happy doing this. You wanted to start it there first.
That's exactly where I started.
Wow, that's cool.
And to be honest with you, one of the places that I really learned and grew a lot while Dreamy was open was the creative part of myself and what my heart desired was first, and it should be. But while I was doing Dreamy, I was really afraid of the numbers and I was afraid of the finances, and it was hard for me to keep my eye on that ball. What I was really good at was helping those women to feel really comfortable and at home. So here's the funny thing, and you'll remember this at the register. It was like a bar. Right. And so I had 2 bar stools at the register.
I do remember that, actually.
Yeah. So what started happening was that freaking register area became the confessional. So women would come in and they would pull up a bar stool and share their lives with me and share their hearts with me and share their struggles around getting pregnant or their relationship issues or I hate my job or whatever. And I found myself just listening a lot and holding space a lot. Now, I will say that my background is in psychology.
Oh, is it?
And I got turned on to psychology really early. And it's a kind of a funny story because things were going way wrong with my parents and my sister. And I was kind of like the only sane one in the house, but they sent me to counseling. And I was like, why do I have to go to therapy? I'm fine. And, but through that experience of doing therapy in downtown Encinitas with some cool, groovy therapists, I just really started to sink into and just enjoy so much that self-discovery. So I have that, enough to be dangerous, but here I am at Dreamy talking to all these ladies. And, at the same time in my life, my personal life began to crumble while Dreamy was alive. And I was on my knees. And during that time, I, as that kind of stuff happens by grace, I got aligned with an amazing teacher, and she facilitated retreats down in the Yucatan, Mexico. And I started working with her.
Who was that?
Her name was Maria Elena Caro.
Oh.
And she's still working. She's in her 70s now, probably mid or late 70s now. But as I started doing that, I really started to grow. And again, it was like, oh shit, all the stuff I'm dealing with is not my husband's problem. It's not this person's problem. It's not that person's problem. It's in me.
Right.
It's in me. And that was the pivot point for me. So as I was coming into that, which is like kind of like swallowing a razor blade.
Right. Which sounds like that'd be painful.
Yeah, that sounds like fun, huh? Right? It's not fun. But damn it puts you back in the driver's seat. That's for sure.
Sure.
So anyways, that was happening. And then the economy tanked. Right. And I did my very best to survive. I think I was one of the last man standing in that center, and then finally decided to close the business. And then as I started doing the only reason I started doing women's circles, Jim, I swear to you, was because I had this nagging voice that was like, do a women's circle, do a women's circle. And I was like, fuck you, shut up. I don't want to do a women's circle. I'm not qualified.
Right.
My life's a mess. And I only did it. I only gathered these women to get this voice off my back. And I did it right after the store closed, right after I had left my ex-husband, and I threw it out there to a bunch of my dreamy chicks that, were faithfuls of the store.
Right.
And 22 women gathered in my living room in Lucadia. And that was
your very first one. You had 22 people show up.
Yeah.
Only you does that happen to.
I don't know.
Nobody else tells that story. No one ever was like, hey, my very first event, I didn't know anything. And guess what? I got 22 freaking people to show up.
I think they just missed me.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Cool. All right. So tell me what's the long-term vision of this? What do you want to do with this thing long-term?
Well, it's a good question. And I just feel like the best I can do, Jim, is just to listen and follow orders at this stage of the game. I've actually tried not to do this a couple of times. I'm not going to help women anymore in this way. My new husband of 5 years is retired and he loves to travel. And he's
got a great first name too, doesn't he?
He really does.
Love this guy's first name.
He really does. Anyway, so I could be home.
His first name is Jim too, by the way, if anyone's listening. Go ahead.
Jim. Yeah, Mr. Jim Lindemenn. Anyways,
you could be.
You asked me what the long-term vision of this was, and I'm
not
really
even saying you have to have one. I'm just more curious to see.
I don't have it at this stage of the game. What I really love is being around other women that have the courage and the bravery, because I say warriors welcome, to this work, to see themselves fully.
Right.
Because what happens is they stop blaming life. And those are my kind of friends. And that's my kind of community. And we've got, several hundred women that have come through my circles and my workshops and my weekends. And this is just, here in San Diego, because I don't know, it's like, people aren't coming from New York today to do this work with me. Hopefully they will someday if that feels right for them. But that means that I get to go down to the grocery store and see another woman in line that is a fucking badass, because she has unburdened her husband from being everything she needs him to be, and unburdened life from carrying the face of her wounds. And she's being an incredible example for her children about how to take care of herself and love herself and find where love really is. So, my long-term vision would be to have a whole bunch more women like that to be around. And, if I can play a role in that, that would make me really happy.
It sounds like you are already.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's so cool. I mean, I think it's so true too, because especially in this day and age, we get gender roles so backwards sometimes, I think. And, I think especially around here, right? Like in the area that we live, in a nice area by the beach, San Diego, weather's always nice. I see so many of these sort of quote unquote soccer moms. I just saw two, like literally as we were on the phone outside my door, getting in a Range Rover. They've got their Lululemon on, their hair's perfectly done. They've got all their makeup on, and they're taking their little kid for a walk on a a Monday afternoon at, 2:00 in the afternoon. And they're just fully done up. And you can see kind of like the pressure around here for, that I think some women feel like they have to be done up all the time and have to have perfect bodies and everything else.
Yeah.
And really, I got to say, like from a guy's perspective, that's really, like in my really early 20s, that stuff was attractive. It's not. Like now it's not at all. Now it's just and that's what I love about my wife. I mean, my wife is like an actual woman. Like she's got flaws and everything else, but she is a badass woman. It's so cool that you're doing the same thing, helping women kind of reach their inner warriors and be true and come home, as you're saying. I think that's just so great. So, all right. So let me ask you this. So why do this? What's your why? Why do you get up to do this? What inspires you about this work? I mean, it's clear that you love it, and it's clear that you're good at it, which is great. But I mean, look, I'm really good at watching football on TV and I love watching it, but it's not necessarily inspiring. It's not doing any good in the world, but it depends on who you would ask. But so why are you doing this? Tell us, what is it about it?
The simple answer, Jim, is because I have to. And I mentioned this a second ago, is I've tried not to do this a few times because there's other things that I'm really good at. Like I love marketing and branding. I love that. I love that.
Do you know what I'm good at? I hate to interrupt you. Do you know what I'm good at? I'm really good at juggling.
Yeah. Right.
Nobody knows this, but I'm a pretty freaking good juggler. Just don't.
I didn't even know that about you. And you could just stop coaching and stop fucking being epic out there in the whole green world and just juggle.
I could just be the guy on the side of the road juggling.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead. Keep telling me. So you were saying that you've tried stopping this before and you can't stop.
Yeah, I can't stop. So it's the thing that keeps me awake at night. It's the conversation that's constantly going on in my heart. And it's my life. It's my life. It's my life. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go learn this and take a class and become certified and then teach it. That's not at all what it is. It's what has worked for me.
Right.
And really changed my life and really changed my stance and really changed my experience of my life and of others around me. And then I went, oh, okay, I'm supposed to actually share this with somebody else. And then really the hardest part of my job is getting the fuck out of the way, right? Because what's coming through isn't me. And I'd love to be, oh my God, I'd love to be like, I am so responsible for your healing. Wouldn't that be awesome? My ego would just dig that, but that's not the truth. And
so where's it coming from?
I believe it's coming from the part of me that isn't my mind.
Okay.
I believe it's coming from the part of Heather that's connected and at one with everything. And so some people call that the divine or the universe or, our innate wisdom or God.
Right.
But it's definitely not my mind that this is coming from. And so like I said before, my biggest practice is just getting out of the way of my mind, telling me I'm not good enough or nobody's going to want to hear that or, all of those things, and just continue to take steps and just keep writing or saying what's coming through. And as my practice of that has grown over the years, because I've only been at this for 7 years now.
I was going to say, you haven't been doing this that long.
It really hasn't been that long. I used to really edit myself before. And now the cool part, oh my God, it's like the best part of my job is when I'm working with clients and groups are really my favorite. I just, this part of myself that thinks I'm responsible just naturally melts away because the part that's connected to everyone and they're connected to me gets really big. I mean, that might sound so crazy to people that are listening to this, but it's the truth. And, that's why I do it, because that feels so good. And I'm growing right along with everyone else. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, oh shit, that was good. I need that,
I hope so. You wrote that one down. So
right.
Great.
So
that's cool. What I really respect about that, and it's so refreshing because you see so many people, who are doing sort of, some type of coaching or one thing or whatever. And they're always like, it's always like, oh, here's my system for this. Here's my system for that. Or, here's, what I've created. And everyone's trying to be original. But I think what's really refreshing about what you're doing is you're basically saying like, look, I'm the messenger. The message is coming through and I'm trying to get out of the way so that you guys can get the message. And because your ego is removed from it, you're able to deliver that message. And it's probably a lot more impactful than, than somebody else. And that's just really cool because so many people these days, and one of my big goals with this site and just this work is to help people get out of their heads and just get into their hearts. Yes. Because most of the wrong decisions I've made in my life, I would say almost all of them have come from my head overruling my heart.
Yes.
Plenty of times my heart's been like, fuck it, let's just do this. And then my head's like, no, we shouldn't do it for whatever reason. And the ones we haven't done, it's good because my head has overruled my heart. It's just not a good place to be. So it's really cool and really refreshing to hear you say that, you're really just kind of getting out, trying to get out of the way and deliver the message. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I want to say something on that really quick is, that's, all the spiritual teachers, all the, the big voices right now that are talking about awakening and oneness and evolvement and higher levels of consciousness, it all boils down to exactly what you just said. It's about learning we have two voices going on at all times. We have the voice of the mind and we have the voice of the heart, but none of us were initiated into the voice of the heart.
Right.
When we were little. It would be like, someone speaking Italian to me right now. I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. Right. And so it has no validity. You can't help me get to where I need to go because I can't understand you. And that's so much of what happens here is that we really are learning how to hear the voice of the heart. And sometimes it moves through other people. Sometimes it's through nature, happenstance, synchronicities, or eventually we get to the place where we can really just hear it and feel it in our bodies. But it's about at least being able to let your heart weigh in, right?
Right. Yeah, you have to. You have to. I always tell a story of like when I met Kelly, I only met Kelly because I happened to be reading The Art of Happiness. I was walking down, and ran into her while I was walking my dog. My dog ran over to her. She was at her car. She was moving in. And, we had a nice conversation, whatever. And I was like, man, that girl's super hot and super cool. And then I left and she lived in a different part of the development that I lived in. I was like, geez, how am I ever going to meet this girl again? And so I waited a couple of days and I decided to leave a note on her car. And at the time, my head was saying, this is such a dumb idea. And this is going to be so embarrassing because you're going to run into her again. And she's probably married or she's gay or she hates Asian guys or whatever. and I'm never going to be able to walk my dog down that road again. But then my heart overrode it because I was reading this passage in Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama where he says, if your motivations are pure, there are no bad outcomes. And so I left a note, obviously I left a note on her car, took her out to dinner. We've literally been together ever since. But it's really funny because it's the biggest time in my life where my heart overrode what my head wanted to do. And it's probably the biggest win I've ever had in my life. So yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen.
Cool. Speaking of which, how did you meet Jim?
Oh gosh, that's funny because you were just talking about how you met Kelly, and I was kind of thinking about that. I was getting ready to move to Bali, and I was all packed up. Had been divorced for a little while, and I was living back in Cardiff,
of course,
with some friends, and I had sold all my shit, and I swear I was on my way to Bali. And I went to some spiritual event. It was called a Bhakti event. So it was like a big event where devotion of the heart, devotion for your divine. And I'm dancing around. They're playing kirtan. And I'm just like dancing around, having a great time. And
just dance around being Heather.
Just dancing around being Heather. There were other people dancing too. Sure. Thank God, but not necessary. And this super tall dude, gray hair, gray beard, looks down at me with this like crazy mischievous twinkle in his eye. And he's like, "You're having too much fun." And I looked up at him and I was like, oh no.
Yep.
It was instantaneous.
You just knew.
This connection. I just knew. And so I went about like flirting with him like crazy, right? And I'll mention that Jim, my husband, is 18 years older than I am.
Okay.
And so the whole time when he tells the story, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe this girl is flirting with me. She's so young, right?
It's so awesome.
And he's like, there's no way she's just flirting. She's got to just be super friendly.
Right.
And then by the end of the night, because I've learned my lessons about masculine, feminine roles and all of those things. And I said, gosh, I'm really hungry. I'm thinking about going to get some Thai food, right? Open-ended question.
Of course,
and Jim goes, oh yeah, that's good. Nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
He wasn't like, let's go?
No.
He wasn't like, hey, wait, let's go get takeout Thai food and go to my bedroom and we can eat it in bed while we're watching a movie. He didn't say that?
Exactly. No.
Jesus.
So he did get my phone number.
Okay.
And
so you didn't get Thai food with him that night?
He did not go get Thai food with me. But the funny thing is that he had shared that he worked for the Oceanside School District for 30 years. Okay. And my father was a teacher in the Oceanside School District, and my godmother was an administrator in the Oceanside School District. So I raced to my car to call my godmother and ask her,
about him,
what's up with this Jim Lindemenn dude? And so she doesn't give compliments easily. And she said, what I can tell you is Jim Lindemenn is a good man. Oh. And anyways, the rest is history for us. I mean, just like you and Kelly, we met, ball was in his court. He finally took it. And I think it was 4 months later, long story, and I won't go into it, but It turned out I didn't move to Bali because it was the hugest, it was like, okay, I'm falling in love
Right.
and I've got a job waiting for me in Bali. What do I do? So the decision was kind of made for me. And 5 months later, I moved in, lived here. We were engaged just a couple of months after that, and the rest is history.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, what were you expecting? You met a guy named Jim. Didn't you think you were going to fall in love with a guy immediately?
Well, I mean, come on. There wasn't a tank top involved, though. There was no tank top.
I'll have to talk to him about that.
I know.
But the funny thing is, every time we see you guys around town, not that we see you around town that often, but the times I've seen you around town with Jim, you guys always look so freaking happy.
Oh.
Like that time we saw you walking into the Thai place, you guys are like holding hands, walking across the parking lot, acting like there's nobody else in the world. Just so cool to see that. So cool. I will say for anyone listening, I've met Jim several times and he's a good dude. He is just a good dude.
Yeah.
I really like that guy. I don't know him at all, but you could just tell looking at him and just talking to him for a couple minutes. He's just a good, solid guy.
That's so nice of you to say, Jim.
Yeah,
Gyms are good.
Yeah.
Gyms are good.
Gyms are good. Can't go wrong with Jim. All right. So I have another couple other questions for you.
All right.
Tell me, who are some of your heroes and why?
Well,
I'd like to ask people this because I'm always curious.
Speaking of my husband.
Yes.
Jim is one of my heroes.
Oh.
And he comes to my heart when you ask that question, because when Jim was in his 50s, he and his partner at the time, not wife, but partner at the time, actually fostered a little girl, fostered an infant. And while they were fostering her, Jim had no intentions of having any children. He wasn't married. He was in his 50s, and he fell in love with this little girl and said, I'm going to adopt her. This child is meant to be mine. It makes me teary when I talk about it. And even though he was with his partner at the time, they both knew that they weren't going to be together forever.
Right.
And even though he knew that, he adopted this little girl who is our daughter, who is my stepdaughter, who's Jim's daughter.
What's her name?
Her name is Samantha. And these two have the most amazing relationship. And I watch the kind of father he is. He is that, next to you, Jim Simcoe, he's the best dad on the planet. And he's so inspiring to me because of the selflessness that it takes to be a parent, period. And then the selflessness that it takes to raise a child that's, that isn't biologically yours.
Right.
But that for the fact that he recognized that connection and listened to his heart and said yes. And these two are inseparable best buddies. And I'm so happy for her that she gets to have a role model like that as her father.
Oh, that's so cool.
He's my hero.
So cool. Oh, what a guy. What a guy. Anybody else? Anybody else want to mention?
Well, anyone is my hero that selflessly helps others. We were watching that CNN Hero of the Year award last night on TV, and the people that just go out of their normal daily lives to help their neighbors, to help the homeless, to help, children in Nepal. I mean, the people who do just small acts of kindness that nobody ever gets to know about.
Right.
That the people that don't have to shout it from the rooftops and be like, I'm this person who's helping this person, but that just does it because that's what their heart tells them to do and they follow it. Those people are my heroes.
It's it's funny you said it because we were talking about this the other day. So our office is in Encinitas. It's on 2nd Street, and we are a couple doors down from CRC, Community Resource Center, where they feed homeless there and they do a lot of other things. So there's a lot of homeless and just families that are struggling around here. And we do what we can to help them out as well. But, I just saw something the other day. It's just amazing when someone just does something nice for somebody else and treats them kindly, that it really doesn't take a lot of effort to do it. But when you do it, you see the ripple effect of how powerful it is on the other person. And on their family. Because again, in our situation, the people who are here, they're on their, they're struggling.
Yeah.
Like they're really struggling. Like we had a woman come in here last year, she just was asking to see, she was a victim of domestic violence and she wanted to know if her daughter could use the bathroom. And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And so I started talking to her while her daughter's in the bathroom and she started breaking down and crying and, telling me her story and how she's, she doesn't know what to do. And she's got this master's degree from Columbia, but now, this guy's chasing her and all this other stuff. And so and this is not a big deal. And this is not why I'm saying this, but so I gave her I don't know, $80, $60, whatever I had on me at the time. And I said, well, look, just go, get some food, get a hotel because she couldn't get into the shelter till the next day. So she was going to be sleeping in her car.
Ugh.
So she starts crying again and she's like, thank you, and whatever. And I'm like, believe me, when I do stuff like that, I'm sure like you, when you do stuff like that, there's way more of a benefit for me personally than it is for whoever I'm helping out by far. I get a lot more out of it than they ever get out of it, I think. And when, cause she wouldn't take the money. So I was like, look, whenever you get on your feet, you'll come back and pay me. I'm like, this is our office, whatever. Can I tell you that this woman showed up 8 months later?
Oh my God.
And paid me cash. And it was like, thank you so much. You helped us out. And it started a new, we were able to do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. 8 months later, came in, gave me $60 cash.
That's incredible.
Yeah, isn't that great? And it's like, it's not that, here's the other thing. It's not that fucking difficult to help other people. Like, it just isn't that difficult to be nice to someone, let somebody go in front of you in line. We can all do this. This is not rocket science. Very, very simple.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I only have 3 more questions. I don't want to keep you forever, I do want to keep you forever, but I want to let you go too. But what do you think the 3 biggest keys to living an epic life are? If you had to nail it down to 3 things, what are they? The gospel according to Heather.
It's such a good question. The 3 biggest keys for me are being, I want to say this the right way, being brave enough to experience oneness within myself, my community, and with source. So what that means is that if it's out there, it's in me. If it's happening out there, it's in me. Because so many of us go, oh, I don't have rage. I don't gossip. I'm not ungrateful. I'm not this. I'm not that. Right. And to come home and say, yeah, I'm all that. Right. And be able to just see it, because of course the good news is that the opposite is true. For whatever we call ourselves, the opposite is true. So like just to be really authentic and honest with myself first. Right. What am I really? All parts of myself, the parts the mind would say good or bad. Right. Boom. Yes, that's me. Then go out into my community and it's just exactly what we're talking about. Could be more perfect. And, we see someone who's struggling. We see someone who's homeless. We see, people who might not drive the same car as everybody else in Encinitas, or have the same Lululemon pants, or acting the way, we think they should act. Right. And know that that's in me too. Right. It's like it's the only way we can have compassion for someone else is actually to feel what they're feeling.
Right.
And that takes bravery. So it's like, what are they actually feeling right now? Find it in myself. And then beyond that, it's like that oneness with the source of where do we come from? What is that? All those yummy feelings and connections to the beingness of who we are, the allness of what all of this is, and to have, because that takes bravery. To go, wow, am I worthy to feel that, or whatever, and so those 3 keys for me is where's that? I use that word brave a lot. I feel like I've used it a lot since we've been talking. So maybe that's one of them is really having the bravery to be our own authentic selves and not be who other people think that we should be, and to be brave enough to feel what's going on inside of ourselves and see ourselves completely, and to be brave enough to pursue our own connection to what's divine for us.
That's freaking fantastic. I love that. I'm actually not even going to ask you anything else about that, because that's just awesome. Okay. I'm going to write that down word for word and get it tattooed on my back. That's wonderful. I'm going to give you credit the next 3 people I tell you when they ask me that same question. And then after that, I'm just going to steal it.
Perfect. Awesome.
That's awesome. All right. So what would you tell, because you're like my age, what would you tell the 30-year-old version or the 20-year-old version of yourself? What advice do you have? You are an incredibly strong, powerful, fun-loving, heart-centered, fantastic, good-looking woman. What advice would you give to other younger women in the world?
Gosh, thank you, Jim.
I know, right? Come on.
Wow. Seriously. You saw me right now, you'd be like, sister's looking good.
Yep.
What did I tell you?
Well, you're like the best person to ask. You are one of the best people to ask about this.
It's out of all the questions you've asked me, this one for some reason is it's it's like not, it's that it's hard. It's just that it's challenging because there's so much rightness in everywhere that we are, right? It's like, start from where you are, not from where you want to be. And when I was 30, I was, really just getting over the grief of my mother's death and learning how to be somewhat of an adult and kind of navigating my way through the world. And it's like, when I look back on that, I know it's not the question, Jim, but it's like, I don't think I would change that time if I could, because so much richness came out of it. So much learning came out of it. And honestly, in hearing that question, the first thing that came up, well, two things came up is you're perfect and save your money.
That's not bad. That's actually not bad.
It's like, you're in the perfect place in your life and save your money.
That's actually pretty good. We'll distill it down to 5 words. You're perfect. Save your money.
Exactly.
That's great. No, but seriously, it's true, because I get emails from people or, questions from people. And a lot of times it's questions from younger people, and when I say younger, people who are in their 20s or in their 30s, and they're very much almost frazzled or somewhat overwhelmed by life, whether they're, and they're working ridiculous hours at their career. They're not sure what they're doing with their life. They're not sure about the legacy they're creating. And they're very, connected to whatever societal norms and societal expectations are.
Yeah.
And I just see them, and walk through Whole Foods, you'll see this, and you just see them going through that, and you're like, Jesus, I just want to go over them and give them a hug and be like, look, don't worry about it. Like, it's all working out. Slow the fuck down. Mm-hmm. Like, it's fine. You can skip the gym tonight. Don't worry about it. Like, things are going to be okay. You will find a guy, or you will meet a girl who will fall in love with you, and you will have kids. Don't worry about your biological clock or any of that other crap. Like, just chill out.
Yeah.
Because they're so, like, when I was in my, God, I sound like 1,000 years old. When I was in my 20s, we didn't have, a 24/7, news cycle. We didn't have cell phones, internet, like all this other, social media stuff. So I didn't always know what everyone in the world who was just like me was doing. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, you go, if you spend 5 minutes on Facebook and you get updates of people and people on Facebook are so funny, myself included, because we always post the pictures of like the best moments of our life, right?
Of course.
Like, I don't ever post a picture of my kids crying, but they look cute at the holiday parade. I'm going to post that. If I'm having like or if people have like, some awesome meal, they're going to post a picture of their meal. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny. Like, we're showing a highlight reel to other people when in fact we're living, a complete journey amongst ourselves. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Something I would add to that is like, I would tell my 30-year-old self, everything that you need is inside of yourself. And I wouldn't only just say it so it's like some kind of shit that she's got to scratch her head about and go, what's that really mean? I would spend time with her and help her to, I would share my heart with her and help her share what that means to me, that everything inside of me, everything you need is inside of me. I would hope that she could find someone that could tell her that and teach her that and guide her back home to herself. That's what I would want for her.
So how would you say it?
I would say that it comes back to the voice of the heart.
Yeah, take a minute, pretend you're talking to yourself right now.
Okay. All right. I would say, Heather, all of those beautiful feelings and words and connections and ideas that you have in your heart, every problem that you have in life, the answer is waiting for you in that temple of your heart. And spend some time, write what you're feeling, write what you're hearing down on a piece of paper. And every time you have a problem, come back and consult your heart and write the answer down. Save that journal for the rest of your goddamn life. Amen.
Mic drop. That's fucking awesome. That's so great.
There we go.
I love that. All right, cool. All right. Any final thoughts for our listeners? Anything else you want to mention? Tell us your website again. Tell us any cool stuff you have coming up.
Well, my final thoughts would be, since the second I met you, I have always adored you. I have always enjoyed you. And I've always seen that part of you that is beyond willing to help others.
Thank you
and so you have the most generous heart, Jim. And to, for you to be doing this now and helping people live epic lives is like the perfect thing. It's like the perfect thing. And I wanted to thank you for gifting me with the friendship of your wife And through her,
she's way cooler than I am.
She is prettier than you, and she wears better clothes.
Way better.
But she's introduced me to so many beautiful women too, we all get to share our hearts with each other. So I am like pretty grateful for you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my heart with you today. And my website is heatherlindemenn.com. And the coolest thing that I have coming up is my yearly women's retreat is called Ritual. And it's a 1-day retreat. It's happening here in Vista in our yurt on our land in our retreat center. It's an evening retreat, and I'm calling it a wisdom activation, a yearly wisdom activation. So it's a completely different take on, New Year's, what's it called? I'm blanking out. What's it called when at New Year's time we make resolutions? It's a
which are the dumbest things in the world. Why do you do it?
They really are, because they're all launched from fear, right? And self-hatred and all of those kinds of things. So we're redefining what that process is. So not only are we going to have a live event here, because we can only handle so many people, I'm in the process, this is so awesome, of creating my very first online offering.
Oh, cool.
So that women that can't be here with us, or, women around the country, can download it too and gather their girlfriends and have their own heart-centered wisdom activation ritual for the new year. So that's something I'm really stoked on. And I'm excited to gather with so many women and enter this new year with an open heart and self-love and compassion. How's that sound?
It's fantastic. That's awesome. That's so cool. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the time. And I got to say, thank you for the friendship. You've just been so awesome to me and my family over the years. And it's just like, I remember from the very first day I walked into Dreamy, to get Kelly something, I was like, man, I really like that. I really love that Heather girl. She's fantastic. You're just such a great person. And I think what's, one of the best things about you is I think you're just such a shining and brave example for other women in the world, and men too. Like you're just a badass. You just are a badass. And I just love that about you.
That's a high compliment.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
For anyone who's listening, you can check out this website at makelifeepic.com. And Heather, it was a pleasure. And I hope I will see you soon.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for checking out the Make Life Epic podcast. Check us out online at makelifeepic.com. And I hope you have a fantastic day and look forward to talking to you soon.